You're tuned in to Ask the Master Auto Technician. Car questions? Get answers right now. Call 850-763-0555.
James Auto Center, we fix it right, guaranteed. Beep, 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 yeah!
All right, good morning, everybody. It's bright. No, it's not bright. It's just early on Monday morning. We survived Christmas, hopefully. Santa Claus was good to all that are watching and listening. And, you might be getting ready to come back from that trip. From visiting mom and dad. Maybe you're down here visiting Panama City and you're heading back up north, or you're maybe down south. That's where my daughters live. They live down in South Florida. But one thing we do know that's going to happen every winter, whether we like it or not, it's going to rain. It's going to rain, and it's going to get cold, and it's going to get wet, and it's going to get slippery out there. And down in Florida, just because it gets cold and wet doesn't mean it's slippery because it turns to ice. It just makes that oil that's already in the pavement rise to the surface where you're riding on what I call Florida ice, which is nothing more than road film with oil on it. And water film with oil, and it makes it very, very slippery. That's why it's very, very important that you have more than 30 seconds of rubber on your tires. And a lot of people out there, they look at the little wear bars going across there and they say, hey, that's 30 seconds. It's not there yet. I'm okay.
I think the industry standard is 30 seconds.
That's exactly right. But where the little bars that go across, the wear bars that tell you your tires will wear out, are still at 30 seconds. And I actually have people say, well, look, I'm not down to the wear bars completely all the way evenly across. And I said, yeah, you're not. You're not. But you're down to 30 seconds where I can take a quarter and stick it in. Just take the quarter, put it in there. If I can see the top of George Washington's head. Now, I know a lot of people are saying, well, that's supposed to be a penny. A penny is Abraham Lincoln's head, and it's 30 seconds. But George Washington is now 30 seconds. If you take that silver-looking coin, it really isn't silver, but still put that inside there. And if you can see the top of George Washington's head, if you see any distance between there, or you can just see his head total, you're at 30 seconds. Now that 30 seconds may not sound like a lot between 30 seconds and 30 seconds, but believe it or not, you can actually cut your stopping distance literally in half. I'm not making this up. A dime's worth of moisture on the road, that thickness of moisture, at 35 miles an hour with 30 seconds versus 30 seconds, the 30 seconds tire takes twice as long to stop as a tire with 30 seconds. That's because you've got enough room to get some of that moisture off, to wick it away where your tires are actually making contact with the road. What ends up happening with 30 seconds, you can't get that water out, so you're actually riding on a little film sheet of water, allowing you to take longer to stop. Now you say, well, that's not a big deal. Well, think about that. If you're on the highway and you're traveling and you have to make a sudden stop, and I know you have analog brakes on the car, keeps them from locking up, which is a wonderful thing, but also it takes a lot longer to stop when the road's wet. It really does, because that little ABS system is just working overtime, keeping the wheels from locking up. So that's why it's very, very important that you have good tires, front and rear. Now, a lot of people say, well, I can only afford 2 tires. I'll put the 2 front tires on the front. No, I don't care if you got a rear-wheel drive, a front-wheel drive car, your 2 best tires should always be on the back. I know that's contrary to what you've been taught by your grandfather or your father. We've always been taught that the best tires should go on the front. But let me give you the reasons why you do not put the best tires on the front. Say a tire blows out on the front end of your car and you're doing 60 miles an hour. What's going to happen to the car? Well, besides riding rough, the car is going to understeer. It's going to go straight. You're not going to be able to turn right or turn left very easily due to the fact that, well, you've got resistance due to a flat tire. So you will understeer and you will go straight. Now, take that same car, have a tire blow out on the back. What happens then? You stand a very good chance of what we call oversteering, turning the steering wheel left or right and having the rear end coming around. And that is due to oversteering, which can be due also at the same time due to the tires that are just not got the traction they're supposed to have, because you got the best tires on the front. And you really need the best tires on the back to keep, because you can't steer the rear end. You can manually steer the front end to keep things from happening. But what ends up happening was when people do have a blowout on the rear end, the first instinct is to touch the brake. That's really not the first thing you should do. If you do have a blowout and you feel your rear starting to lose control, you should actually push the gas pedal down to straighten the vehicle back up where you'll have control. Too many people, when they lose control of a car, have weak tires, the car turns sideways, they hit the brake, which only makes things worse. I've got, who do I got? Treva with a 2004 PT Cruiser. Treva, what is your question about your Cruiser?
It is not taking the gas fast enough. When I pump gas into
Right.
it's really, really, really slow.
You're talking about when you put the nozzle into the gas tank, right?
Right,
Okay.
right.
All right, you need to go see, you probably have a check engine light on as well.
No, I do not.
Okay, well, I'm surprised you don't. Normally, what's happening is you have a vent solenoid on that model. You have the, what's happening is it will not vent. When you're putting the gas in, it's kicking back at you because it won't vent. You need to take it to a shop and have them check it out. You're either going to find out the rollover valve is faulty on the vehicle or the vent solenoid is faulty, causing it not to breathe, and that's the reason it's kicking back at you. But let me, just for grins and giggles, I'm going to go to Identifix real quick. I believe I can do that.
I have a question.
Sure. Go
Okay.
ahead, Henry.
A lot of people, when you go to the gas station, Reva, they fill it up and then it clicks off, and then they fill it up a little bit more and it clicks off. You don't do that, do you? Hello?
Treva, are you still there?
Yes.
Okay, do you top off your gas tank? When you go put gas in it, do you click it several times?
Yes.
Don't do that. That may be what's causing your problem. You've probably gone down inside there and actually flooded the charcoal canister and made it come apart. Let me go take a look at it, because I see that happen a lot of times on people. Who makes a PT Cruiser? That's Chrysler. Chrysler, okay, PT Cruiser. I'm looking this up for your problem you're talking about. PT Cruiser and 2.4 engine, and it won't take gas. That's what I'm going to look at, because I see this happen all the time. Won't take gas. I hear in the background back there. Turn that off, right? I don't have to hear myself.
Yeah, I'm fixing to.
I won't. All right, won't take gas. Let's see if anything says anything about that. Hard to fill with fuel. Pump shuts off when filling with fuel. They're talking about it can be anything from a fuel tank, the evaporative canister, the fuel tank filler pipe. And here's the test. Now, I don't know if you want to do this or not, but do you live in Panama City there, Treva?
Yes, I do.
Okay, well, you can come by here and we can do it for you. But what you're going to have to do, remove the hose from the tank to the charcoal canister and remove the circulation tube from the filler neck at the top of the tank. Try to fill the system. If the tank still will not accept fuel, replace the whole fuel tank assembly because the rollover valve is bad. If the tank does not accept fuel, then reinstall the recirculation tube and recheck. If it does not take fuel, the recirculation tube is plugged and restricted. If the recirculation tube makes no difference, then the evaporative system needs to be rechecked for restriction. Start by removing the vent coming off the NVLD assembly, which is a natural vacuum leak detection pump. Check each line for plug, canister, vent. What we find a lot of times is when people top off their fuel and go click and then top it off a little bit more, they overfill it and it goes into the charcoal canister, breaking the charcoal canister apart, filling the entire system full of little pieces of charcoal, which causes the system to be stopped up, and then you end up having to do a lot of work like changing the charcoal canister and blowing all the pieces of charcoal out and possibly the leak detection vapor pump. But we do that kind of work at James Auto Center, but you're talking about an hour's worth of labor to diagnose that. At any shop, whether it's a dealership, my shop, or any shop that knows what they're doing, they're going to charge you an hour to diagnose and pinpoint what the problem's going to be. Because it gets pretty old trying to take an hour to fill up your 15-gallon gas tank. Because you can't put gas in there very fast right now, can you?
Right.
Okay, so are you filling it up slowly right now, just a little bit at a time? Is that how you're doing it?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, you're going to need to find out what's happening, get that fixed. But once you get it fixed, don't be topping it off. Just stop. When it clicks, that's it. Don't put any more in it. That's what usually, but you've got a problem there. Well, we can take care of it, Treva. Just come by here. I'll grab my scanner and I'll see if I see a problem while we're going for a test drive. And if I do, I'll say, okay, here's what I see your problem's going to be. Or then I'll say, Treva, here's the symptoms I'm seeing, but I need to do some testing on it, and I'm going to charge you an hour to figure out what's wrong with it. Then you can make a decision. Do I want to fix it? Do I not want to fix it? What do I want to do? Does that point you in the right direction there, Treva?
Yes, it does.
Good.
Thank you.
You're very, very welcome. Thanks for calling and thanks for watching the show. And Merry Christmas. Well, I know it's a little late now. Well, it's going to be a little late when you're watching this on TV because we're recording it 1 week or later. But Merry Christmas to you, Treva. All right. Everybody, this is James Morris. If you got a car question, call us at 850-763-0555. We got about 3 minutes left of this segment before we have to go to a break. But what this show is about is to help people get answers they may need for cars. Just like Treva had about why my car won't take gas. A lot of shops can fix that, or at least go about fixing it. But here's the thing, if you've got a shop that you're trying to, that you like, and you're trying to get them to fix a problem like that, one of the first things you need to ask them is, do you have a scanner for this vehicle? And if the answer is yes, of course we have a scanner. Wonderful, most shops do. Second thing you might want to ask them is, what do you have an information source like AllData or NapaFix or Identifix? And most shops will say, of course we have that. And the third and final thing that you need to ask is, do you have a smoke machine? If the answer is no, we don't have a smoke machine, it's almost impossible. It is impossible to virtually check I shouldn't say virtually, to actually check an emission system on any car that has an emission problems like not being able to fill the tank up with gas. Or if you have an EVAP code, you've got to have a smoke machine to tell where restrictions are, to tell if you have leaks in the system, and that's what a smoke machine does. It will tell where your problem may be or where it may not be. I've seen cars that come in that have stuck rollover valves. We put a smoke machine up in the front and we don't get anything coming out where you take the gas cap off. We go, well, we know what's wrong there. We know we got a stuck rollover valve and we're going to have to replace the tank, like what Treva has over here. So it's very, very important the shop you choose is trained and the type system you're working on, whether it's air conditioning, whether it's transmissions, whether it's EVAP, whether it's drivability, whatever the case may be. It's not embarrassing to ask a shop, hey, are you trained in evaporative emission troubleshooting? And if they give you this, well, we don't like them, and you might want to find another shop that's more familiar with them. At James Auto Center, that's what we specialize in, is drivability problems. Why my check engine light won't go off, why I keep having it come on over and over again, and that's what we do. We do quite successfully at it. We've been doing this since 1980. Taking care of customers' complaints about why engine lights are on, whether it's an oil light, a battery light, a charging light, it doesn't really matter. We fix those lights. The biggest thing I can tell people is, if you see a red light, don't drive the car, because that means danger, don't drive it. If you see a yellow light, you can drive it and get it repaired at your earliest convenience. So if you see those warning lights in your dash, remember this: red, don't drive; yellow, you can drive, but get it looked at as soon as possible. Hey, this is James Morris. If you have a car question, want to be part of this show, that's what we do every morning, Monday through Friday, from 6 to 6:30. Scott Hobbs is calling right now. He's going to be on here, and we're going to be talking a little bit about, who knows what we're going to talk about, preventive maintenance and car repair, and you're getting your home taken care of for the holidays and making sure that you survive the holiday without any stopped up drains out there. This is James Morris. If you got a car question, we'll be right back. Anna Marie is screening our phone calls, so give us a call at 850-763-0555. We'll be right back.
James Auto Center, we fix it right.